Hello Flickering Myth family and welcome to our channel. My name is EJ Marino and we have a review today. I'm going to be jumping into the brand new Marvel movie, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. The Marvel Cinematic Universe is not my cup of tea. Usually these films are okay and not my favorite. This one actually ranks in the little bit above okay category. Shang-Chi joins the ranks for me of Winter Soldier, Thor Ragnarok, Infinity War as some of the best that Marvel has to offer. What puts it in that category? Why do I think this is the best solo film in years? Well, it's just a good story. It's a good film. It has a lot going for it, from the impressive action to the pretty great acting to the overall mythos and the great magical elements to this film. It just hits me in a lot of areas that I really like. I wanted to go into this film, as I do with any movie, to enjoy it, but I was a bit nervous. This is a pretty unknown character with a fairly new-ish actor, and I don't know, the MCU's in a weird spot right now, but every turn of this film, I just kept going, this isn't bad. Oh, this is good. Oh, we're getting weird at the end. Yes, every turn of this, every little bit of Shang-Chi really won me over, and I will say this is one of my favorite Marvel movies in quite some time. Look, first and foremost, we need to talk about our titular character, Shang-Chi. Simu Liu is just amazing in this role. He really brings life to this, a fun energy. He is completely different than what I thought the character was going to be. He is a little, nervous about his role, but he's still a badass fighter. He's also a bit of a darker character as well. There's more layers to him. This is one of my favorite solo films, and it's specifically for this lead character. He really just brings you into this universe. Just as lost as you may be by some of the weird magical stuff, the character is as well. He's familiar with it. He knows the stories, but when the stories become a reality for him, it takes him to a new level. He is a pretty Americanized guy. He lives with his friend Katie, who they're really close with. They like to go and party and stuff. Yeah, and then he also has this other side of his life with a very mysterious mob lord-like father who is kind of doing a organization called the Ten Rings, and they're about to do some crazy stuff. He's also a super-powered evil man that has these rings on him that just kind of do energy and the propelling of the powers. Oh my god, the whole weird power stuff got really cool. Yeah, his life is weird. He doesn't know where to go, and then things start happening. He's attacked on a bus, and that says, oh, I am definitely being hunted by my father after I left him years ago. All right, Katie, we're going to have to go on this journey. He tries to reconnect with his sister. He tries to go to this mythical land where he can kind of reconnect with his energy, with his with family, with his powers. Yeah, I love this basic premise. It's exactly what I wanted to see going into this. I was so nervous this was going to get super political, super military, or super kind of government action movie. The science-filled movies that the MCU is known for. I was so nervous it was going to be one of those movies, but this was straight up fantasy. The first fight in this film lets you know it is paying homage to very traditional action Chinese films. The way the wire work, the overall feel, you're really comfortable. Then we get into the fun fight scenes in the beginning, in the middle, and the end, and I'm like, oh, we're definitely going the Jackie Chan route, the fun I like the late 90s, early 2000s Asian influenced action movies we got here. That's what this reminds me of. And then the end becomes pure, oh my god, fantasy with a lot happening that I will not spoil here. Yeah, this movie rolls through. This titular character is great. Simu Liu is great. The acting is great. Oh my god, Yeoh is here. She's gorgeous. We'll talk about the characters in a moment, but yeah, I just absolutely was happy that I just rode the wave of this film and enjoyed it throughout. No matter how you feel, the one thing you will walk away from this film enjoying is the action scenes. They're so impressive. This is some of the best, actually holy hell, it might be the best action I have seen in the MCU. And you're gonna be like, well, that battle at the end of Endgame, that was messy. Come on, let's be real. It was a good moment. It wasn't a good fight scene. Oh, then you're gonna be like, well, what about Winter Soldier? Them choppy ass fight scenes, them like I can see every cut that has to hide all of this stunt work. Yeah, that's not here. Yes, it gets a little edited heavy, a little bit some of the time, but for the most part, there's nice longer takes. We can see our actors actually going through this, and when it's not, they kind of CG them a little bit. You can tell that's maybe one of my few complaints is the CG is a little obvious at times with the fights, but for the most part, I just loved the way these fights were handled. There's one on the bus that is completely mind-blowing. I mentioned the one at the beginning, the very start of the film. We're not going to get too much into spoilers of that, but that's my favorite fight scene. It's like a dance. It's choreographed so beautifully. So then we go to the bus one, and I'm like, oh, they cannot get better than this bus fight. We're getting him doing some very interesting, fun work. The way he's using jackets, the way he's like using the bus around him to avoid the fights, genius stuff. And then we get to that crazy the roof, the one on the side of the building. Oh yes, I was eating that one up. And then there's more. This movie just goes through a lot. It slows down a bit in the middle where we aren't getting as much action, which is probably going to throw some people off. I could hear my screening getting a little restless during this moment, but those are the stuff that I liked. And yeah, I actually liked when it slowed down. It made the action even better when we got back to it. That's the stuff. We need a good pace. We need to go up and down in our film. Sometimes the Marvel movies, I feel like they hit a second gear and then they just drive it to third, and I'm like, can we go back down? Can we go back up? Let's do this. This has the ebb and flow that I've needed for a while, and that's what makes this action so juicy and so fun to watch. On top of that great action, we have great acting with some of these people just doing some of my favorite performances yet. Simu Liu, who I've never seen before, I am in love. He is top 3 of the MCU hunks now. He is just exactly what he needs. He has the cool, calm energy that I want, but then he's also fun and over the top when he needs to be. He is such a layered role. We have Michelle Yeoh, who I just absolutely adore. She's playing his aunt-like character, and she's just so warm and embracing, but she's still a badass. We also get Shang-Chi's mom a little bit in this film. The actress who's playing her is really good. She has some good fight scenes as well. We have Awkwafina, who I was pleasantly surprised in. Her character is really interesting. She's very Americanized, and she's not great at speaking Mandarin, and she kind of acknowledges that, but I also am like, yeah, I feel that. I am Spanish and I suck at speaking Spanish, and I feel like I'm glad I'm not shamed for it. The movie didn't shame her for it, but okay, I talked about some good people here. Tony Leung is just the star of this film. He's not my favorite MCU villain. There's some stuff about his character that I felt got a little bit basic of like, oh, the overbearing father character. Oh, he has the same powers as our good guy's gonna have, and that end fight gets a little at that, just a little bit there. But the acting, but this man's presence, but his fight scenes, he is a star. I can't believe we have not seen him more in just more like later times. We have internal affairs and stuff like that he is infamous for, but like I've been like, yo, why is he not in a John Wick movie? Why is he not in X, Y, and Z? Like, he needs to be doing more. This is the type of actor I would like to see having a bigger role and stuff. I mean, it upsets me that he had a really good career in like the 90s, in the early 2000s, and we just haven't seen him a lot lately. But he's a star in this film, and it's such a bright thing. This whole cast comes together for great energy, a great time, and just overall a fun little energy that I was just kind of surprised that I was like, okay, I love the acting, and I'm sorry, I love the action. Where is it gonna let me down? And it didn't let me down in the acting department, and that's a blessing. While it slows down a bit too much for some people, I'm sure, and the CG is okay for the most part, not the most polished that I've seen ever. Those are some of my only complaints about Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. I was pleasantly surprised by this film. It wasn't overly politicized. It wasn't overly Marvel-ish. It was just perfectly there. The humor is kind of obnoxious at times. That's a personal preference thing. I don't find these jokes funny. My whole theater was laughing at it, so that is an all-me thing, so I wasn't really going to add it as like a ding here. I really enjoyed this film, and I hope you guys do as well. I think this is going to be a moderate success. I hope Marvel sees the success of this film. If it does do well and goes, yeah, we don't need to do political, military, science movies anymore. That's in the past couple phases phases of Marvel. Let's go to the weird, the otherworldly, the fantasy. That's where I want to see Marvel go, and I think Shang-Chi is really kicking that off pretty right. Alright guys, what did you think of this review? What do you think of this film? Are you going to check it out? Let me know down in the comments below. I want to know all your feelings. I want to know how are you preparing for this film? If you're a big MCU fan, I want to know if you've been binge watching all of them. Let me know down below. Subscribe to our channel, give us a thumbs up. Alright everyone, let's talk about Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings.